Hello everybody. Today I'm bringing these two photos for you, and they are of me sitting on my back deck and relaxing. It was 85 degrees in Wisconsin in the first weekend of May. This is the Friday before National Scrapbooking Day, and I was going to do some scrapbooking, but it was so warm and beautiful. Threw on a pair of shorts when I got home from work, put a bottle of white wine, or rosé wine actually, in the freezer to get cold, and took my book and sat out on the deck. And the first photo is me without the wine, and the second is that's better because I finally have the wine. So anyway, I am going to be using papers here from Heidi Swap's September Skies. I have the paper pad for these, so I don't have paper names for you in this particular case, but it's an older collection, a couple years old now, and it's the paper pad. One of the things that I'm doing here is I'm having a problem trying to decide what frame I want to use. I know I want to frame this layout, and so I thought maybe I would want to do it on that navy paper, but eventually decide I don't want to. I am totally in love with this floral paper, and I really wanted to feature it very prominently on a layout, and just thought that these pictures would be a fun way to do it. And I had already cut some paper out of this. I was going to use this paper as a frame on another layout, and then decided against it in favor of something else. So I had the frame all ready to go. I just kept it in my folder with my other papers. So I'm going to ink the edges on this. It definitely needs some definition because that's such a big all over print that I want to see some definition on the edges here. So on National Scrapbooking Day, I had a thing for a lot of horizontal lines going across a layout. I'm not quite sure what that was, but it is what it is, right? Or was what it was. So I'm playing now with the papers that are going to go under the photos, and also the journaling card that I'm going to use on this paper. And I work with this a lot. I really liked that journaling card, but it was so small and it was repeating so much of the floral that I ended up deciding against it, that I decided I really didn't like it and that needed to change. So what I ended up doing then, instead of putting the bright pink paper in the background, I'm actually using that as the mat for the photos. And I really like how that looks, how it stands out. So you have that nice, the darkness of the layout is coming towards you. It's bringing the layout more towards you, I guess, is the best way. So now I'm looking at a larger cut apart sheet from this collection and trying to decide on maybe another cut apart. And again, I like this one a lot, but the florals are just blending in way too much for that, and it's bothering me as I'm doing all of this, but I don't quite know what to do because I don't have another journaling card that I think is as appropriate. I also do like a lot of the white space on that journaling card, where the white space is, and none of the other cards have that available. It's the best way to describe how I was feeling. So I'm working on the clusters, doing some of the things I know. I know a lot of people talk about this. If you're not sure what you're going to do what you know. In this particular case, the do what I know is I'm going to ink the edges and start thinking about the clusters. I have that big floral die cut, and I really decided I wanted to use it on this paper as well. This layout says summery to me because the weather was summery even though it wasn't summer yet. And that's the feeling that I wanted to be out there for these photos. So in this particular case, sometimes I'll make that horizontal piece go all the way across, even across the frame, but in this case I wanted it to be contained in the frame, so that's why I cut off that the way I did. And here again, I'm still really struggling with what kind of a journaling card to use. And I had this, it's a Mambi, or Me and My Big Ideas journaling card from a pack that I got at Michael's a few years ago, and I liked it, but it was too white. It needed something. So I decided maybe I could put a washi tape border on it and bring some navy into this layout. So that's what I'm going to do. This washi tape is a Recollections washi tape from Michaels. It was in a pack of other washi tapes. I don't remember what was all in that pack. So I'm just going to take it and I'm going to make a border on this card to give it a little something. And again, like I said, to bring some of that navy forward onto the layout itself. And now I like it. I like the whiteness, but I like that there still is a little bit of something on the journaling card so that it's not so plain. There is a lot of white in that background. So now I'm going to try to get the journaling card positioned so that I can start the cluster on the bottom right that I know is going to be there. And as I'm doing this, I'm thinking there's only going to be one cluster on the bottom right. That does eventually change for me. The other thing I did here is as I was working, I actually flipped the journaling card the other way, and I like it a lot better this way. It makes that tape part of the cluster, and the journaling card felt very top weighted before because all of the accent was at the top versus at the bottom where there's going to be a large cluster. So, and you're not going to see most of the washi tape here in the end because of what happens with the cluster, but I think you see enough of it that you get the hint. And again, that blue is brought forward into the layout, and I do use that washi on the layout in another spot to help ground another cluster actually that at this point I don't even know that I'm doing. And I like that die cut just because it's a little bit floral, but it just wasn't appropriate there. So I think, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to put the washi up there because otherwise it's the only place it's going to be, and then I can do another cluster at the top there. It's pretty white there. The paper's pretty white. So I think, okay, that could work really, really well. So I put that down, and then I'm playing with using that die cut, which ends up not staying. Something else is going to go there. But I like how the washi appears in two different places. And I have the ampersand. I think I did that more because there's two photos here, the one without the vino in it and the one with the vino, and then the radio. And the reason the radio is there is because I was listening to music on my sound system, which is not really a radio, but it's the closest. I didn't have a speaker, so I'm going to use a radio just to remind me, you know, it's significant for me. It won't be for anybody else, but it's my process, right? So I'm going to use that radio in there. I'm looking for other die cuts. I'm thinking I want something maybe at the top right there, and I looked at some of the acrylics, but it was really disappearing. Those were all really disappearing in the background of this layout. And eventually I'm going to let these go. I do grab another Heidi Swap collection here, and I don't remember what the collection name is there, but it's something that I got at Michael's quite a few years ago, and I'm thinking I'm going to maybe use these butterflies on here now because I like the teal of them. So I actually go as far as peeling off the backing so that, you know, it's the butterflies much more color intense. And I play around with these pieces here for quite a while thinking I'm going to use butterflies. That butterfly was all wrong. That pink one on the top left, just it's a little bit more realistic looking, I guess. Although how can you have realistic in a paper butterfly that's pink? But anyway, a little more realistic looking, and I'm unsettled about that. It doesn't feel right to me, and I changed the radio position. Those butterflies are going to go away eventually. Especially now, I find that cut apart there, and it has a banner on it. And the banner says a bright idea. So my bright idea is, instead of scrapbooking, I'm going to go enjoy this 85-degree weather. And I think up until this, I was going to call the layout like that's better or something like that, because once I had the glass of wine in my hand, of course it was better because it was nice and cool and all of that. Fortunately, this washi didn't stick down very hard because I cut that banner out of the card, and now I'm going to use that actually as a spot to hold a little bit more journaling and to hold my title eventually. Because when I start thinking about my title, I realize that if I do a title that says that's better, it's going to get smushed. So now the butterflies come off the layout. The radio has gone back to the bottom again. So you'll see that. I'm just going to, because I've inked everything else to, this is one of those layouts that really needed ink on all of the papers. Otherwise it would have totally gotten lost against that background. So I'm being consistent in inking all my die cuts as well. And then I'm going to take this rose die cut here and I'm going to mount it on foam tape there. One of the things I am thinking about as I'm doing this is I did like the aqua color in that bottom cluster, emphasizing that a little bit more. But once I took the butterfly out, I don't have that aqua color anymore. So how can I bring that back into the layout? And these are all just thoughts going on in my mind. I don't know if I'm going to do anything with it yet, but it's a thought for me. Getting the photos down, because I only put a little bit of adhesive on the center of my photos and pieces at first until I know for sure what I'm going to do. So now that pack of die cuts, and I store those in photo envelopes from Cropper Hopper, but that pack of die cuts was sitting right next to me, and I thought, that turquoise, that glittered turquoise would be a really nice addition to this layout. But I'm not liking like the huge star-shaped things, whatever they are. They're too modern for this layout. I do like the ampersand and really seriously think about taking off the other ampersand and putting that one in. But I'm not sure it's the right thing to do, because it really draws your eye there, and then that's all you see is that ampersand. So I decide what I'm going to do is use my heart punch to get some hearts out of those big star things. I don't know what they're called. So I cut them apart a little bit so that I can get my punch into them and punch out my little heart. Now my only problem here is I only have enough of those to do 2 hearts, and what does that mean for what I'm going to want? At least one other element in that turquoise color. So how am I going to do that? So I'm thinking about using those, the leftovers from those punched out pieces. And it just, again, they're a little bit too modern for me. I think if they'd been shorter, it might have worked. Like a starburst or sun or something like that. So I'm going to work with this swirl for a little bit and see if I think I can make that work in the bottom cluster, because I still need that third element. I'm not wanting to sacrifice those stars. I don't want to punch another heart out of them, because I think that the stars might be useful on another page another day. Don't we do that? We save things instead of making things work for us. But I am going to make this work in the end, because all of a sudden I think, well, why can't I put a star on here? Yes, it's not quite so soft, but if I just make it peek out, I'll get the color without actually using the big star. And that's what's going to happen, is I got that down there. So now that star's there. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to glue on the heart. I have a heart up at the top there. I'm going to pop that on a pop dot. And I'm going to put it up near that other banner. And this is when I really start thinking, now where am I going to put my title, and what letter stickers am I going to use? Because it's going to have to be pretty bold. That background is very bold. And I grab my Chamel thickers in the Fitzgerald font. This was from her latest collection, Starshine. I love these stickers. They're such a perfect size, and they're narrow so you can get longer titles on them. So I start writing out. I start putting down the word better so that I can do the title that's better. That's what I'm doing here. And thinking about where that can go, where I can put it. And as I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh, but that's so big. It's huge. Or much better. That's it. I was going to call it much better, not that's better. And then I see the numbers and I realize, oh, I've used so few of these and I have an opportunity where I could use the numbers. I was thinking this was almost going to be a subtitle at first. And then I take that little asterisk to represent the degree symbol, even because I don't have a degree symbol. And once I do that, I realize that's what my title is going to be. It's going to be 85 degrees. And I put that little heart down there. I move the heart because there's a lot of stuff going on up now in that top cluster where the title is, but I put the heart down towards the bottom cluster, which also, at one point I was trying to put something up there, so it sort of brings it down. So you go in that turquoise goes in a bit of a diagonal across the page from the top left to the bottom right, and you see those spots of turquoise now. So now everything feels good and it looks good to me and I'm happy, and I'm just about finished with my journaling here. As soon as I'm done with that, I will have a still shot of the layout and a couple of detail shots at the end. Hope you're all well. We'll talk to you again soon. Have a great day. Bye.